Happy Halloween, everyone, and welcome to our World of Wonders follow-up slideshow for the Port Britain and Wesleyville pictures. This is Charlotte, and she's walking towards the mausoleum, which we couldn't see in the video, but you can see how overgrown it is, how hard it is to walk through, and the little rusty colored plate that's in front of the mausoleum, and the little dark triangle-shaped space between the top of the mausoleum and the plate, and that's where she thought she saw a face peeking out. So we'll move to the next picture and see what we find. This is a look at the inside of the mausoleum. You can see there's roots hanging down, and I believe that's what she saw in the little bit of the flash that she took, that she's like, oh my god, I see a face. You can see down at the very bottom of the picture there's this round white thing that freaked me out at first because I couldn't see what she was taking pictures of because I was back. And on the piece of wood on the left-hand side, there's some white, could be lime from the cement for all I know, but it gives a really weird face effect. I don't believe it's anything paranormal, but it's very scary when you look in there and it's dark. And we'll move to the next picture. Here's a close-up of that round stone that had scared me originally, because when I took the first picture, you couldn't really, I wasn't looking at the camera image part display. I was looking kind of in, and I just saw this round thing. Well, there's a close-up of it, and you can understand that in the dark, in a creepy place where your ground isn't really very flat, and you're kind of, ooh, what's going on in here? To see that was a little bit of a shock. And it is about the size of a skull, so it was an interesting little moment, but nothing paranormal. Okay, this is my first interesting picture at the mausoleum. The little orb on the wall, just in front of the doors. There's a really good shot where you can see the metal plates and that little hole that you peek in. It's not a very big space to actually get pictures from. So the next photograph is a blow-up of this little tiny orb. This is a close-up of the orb. It's clear. You can see the vegetation behind it. It does look like it's appeared to have moved. There seems to be a brighter edge, and then just below it you can see where it may have been moving when I took the picture. Very interesting little orb, and coming up will be something that Charlotte found, I believe. It's very interesting. One of the things that Charlotte and I have been talking about is trying to take a series of several pictures so that you can confirm that there wasn't, like if 1 second you've got something very bright in the picture and the next second there's nothing there. It's sort of, okay, this could be something unusual. So this picture I took directly after. I believe I took a couple of steps, but you can see that wall and there's nothing there, nothing to reflect back any light to me, so that tells us that that orb that we caught was something that was unusual. These next few pictures are of the surroundings that we were walking through, and these old trees have these beautiful vines going up around. The tree in front of Charlotte also had vines going up and around, which we found quite fascinating. And there's another close-up here. Like it's just these vines are all over the place, and it's very interesting, but it can make it very difficult to walk through this area, and we're getting closer to where Charlotte got some really interesting photographs. This is Charlotte's interesting photograph. You'll notice the two white lines coming in from the corner of the picture towards part of the foundation here. She took another picture of this later on, but I've shown the crop here. If this is the close-up of the crop, very solid. She thought maybe it could be a reflection of branches, so we had to do a lot of investigating to find out was there anything in front. But if you look closely at the two tips, they end right in the middle, in the front of everything. They're not behind any grasses or branches. And the tips almost look hollow, especially when you zoom in on my computer. And it has a bit of an unusual light edge to it. So we were kind of wondering if it could be a portal. So the next picture is more interesting than this, believe it or not. Okay, this is the very interesting picture that she took just after those. You can see the orb by the foundation. There's no sticks that I can see ending where the lights would be, but there's this lovely little bright orb. We've got a crop of it where it's very, very bright. It's very solid. It's not showing anything from the background through the orb. So it's very solid little ball of light. It's not casting any shadows or reflections on any of the stones around there, which makes it incredibly unusual. So we'll go back to the original photograph. And if you look at just below the orb on the wall, there's a little green leaf that's quite bright, and there's a couple of little sticks coming up through just for reference so that you know where you're looking at. And we'll go to the picture that was taken just shortly after that, and I believe I took this picture when Charlotte had said, "Oh my gosh, I've got something, get up here." So you can see the two little sticks coming up from the wall itself. You can see a branch coming forward, you can see the grasses, but there's absolutely nothing that has two white parallel lines coming down into that section. I mean, this is all that same area. We can't find anything that matches the two white lines, which could possibly be a portal, could possibly be any number of things. To find the orb in that area just beyond where the portals were would make a lot of sense to a lot of investigators if that's what happened. But to compare it to what we just saw, very, very interesting, like an excellent, excellent capture. Here's some pictures of us leaving the mausoleum, and you can see how totally overgrown it is. Those are, I believe, some wild cucumber vines that are covering shrubbery. I mean, it's quite creepy in here. And this is back down just through the ditch and at the edge of the road where we took quite a few pictures, and we found some more surprising things. Here's some examples of some more orbs that we found down the road. This is sort of a very faint one on the right-hand side, and I can't really remember if that was Charlotte's picture or mine, but I think it could be Charlotte's. Starting to get a little confused, but I did do a blow-up of it, or cropped it. I used some contrast and enhancing to try and brighten it up to see if there was anything in it, but it's so faded that I believe it's just a faint, fairly large orb on the right hand side, which would be on the side of the mausoleum. This is one of my orbs that I got to the left hand side of the road. It's not a very large one, but it's kind of bright, and we've done a crop on it. It's hard to say. It almost looks like there is a face in there. When you use the computer, you can get, it looks much clearer, but there's definitely something going on, and it's got some blue light within it, so that's an interesting little orb. This is a picture of Charlotte just over the other side of the car, and I believe she got another really interesting one down the road. Like I say, once I get all the pictures together, I start getting confused as to who took what, but I believe these next pictures I'll be showing you are the ones that Charlotte caught just after this. Here are two more photographs that I'm not really sure if they're Charlotte's or mine, but you can see one near the top, to the left, but just off center at the top of the trees, and one that I've enhanced that I can't really figure out which photograph it came from, but there's an enhancement of an orb near some trees that could be Charlotte's pictures or they could be mine. I just can't remember. Sorry, another menopausal moment. Okay, this is my really, really interesting photo. That really, with double bright orb, which surprised both of us, and we, for the life of us, we couldn't figure out exactly what had happened here. But we've done the crop in the next photograph, and up close you can physically see that it looks like two orbs. But when I dowsed and asked questions like, is this a ghost, or is this a person, or is this, and it said that it was no one that I knew of, that it wasn't the White Lady. When I asked if it was two orbs, it said no, it was one, and that kind of threw me for a loop. So I asked, is it one orb but moving very fast? And that's when I got the yes. And you can sort of see like a tunnel of light that joins both, and a small orb on the right hand side. So we still have no explanation for this other than, wow, this was really cool. I've got another crop of some of the orbs that were in this picture as well. Very, very faint compared to that big bright one. And this is a closer crop. You can see on the bottom right hand side, the middle to the left hand side. There's a small one on the right just above. So this picture one is full of orbs, just full of orbs. And the pictures that I took like directly afterwards, nothing. So that in itself is very, very interesting. And this is the picture that I held my arms out and took several pictures to see if I could repeat this, and just a dark road, you can't see anything. So just shortly after this, when we had finished trying to figure out what those orbs could be, we went down the road to, it's probably about 2 kilometers down to the Wesleyville United Church, which is going under renovations. There is an actual little orb just from the corner of the left-hand side up, small one. Like, we were being followed by orbs everywhere. The next picture, it's a little brighter. You can see the sign a little better. I'm not sure, does it say when it was established? Be 18, what? Something, 69. But I mean, it was the first little church in that area. And we moved down just into the side. 18, anyway, if we move to the next picture, you can see some orbs on the side of the building. There's one almost dead center. Pardon the pun. There's one just below that. There is a little one on, possibly on the wall. They're sort of kitty corners to the window. So we hadn't even gotten into the cemetery yet, and we were getting more orbs. Okay, so this is actually taken from the edge where it was safe enough that we could stand and take pictures, because it was so deeply dark that we couldn't see where we were walking. This is the first little picture that I took in the cemetery, and the next photograph, I believe, is, you can see the little orb. I try to get the orbs in center when I'm cropping, so at least you know kind of where to look. Very light, but still there. We had so many following. Now, this one was my excellent cemetery photograph. You can see a very bright one by the pink stone and a colored one by the next one. And if I've done crops on these, there's the very, very bright one. And you can see a face in there. If you use the computer when you're doing it, you don't lose so much definition, but very, very interesting and incredibly bright. I mean, you can't deny that there was something going on. The next little colored one, I get a little worried when I see that green color, because I have had a lens flare flash this color, although Charlotte wasn't where there could be a lens flare flash happen. So this one's kind of like I don't know for sure because of the green color, and I have had lens flare flashes in this color before, especially when I was like directly in the sun. So this one I'm not sure about. The other one I'm pretty sure about. This is the next one. You can see between, in that same area by the pink stone and the little one, sort of center of the photograph, another very light one. There's a crop of it. Light enough that when you enhance it, you can't really see anything within it. This next picture, you can see up near the top, just to the left off center, down on the right-hand side, you can see another light reflecting, but what that is just a light reflecting off of a stone. That isn't an orb, although it can be mistaken for orbs. This is an enhancement almost to the top of the right-hand side of that orb, and it's still very, very light. This is, you can see that reflection, which I got in many, many pictures. I took over 100 pictures, and in the cemetery, it's square, this reflection. And at first I thought it was something, but it repeats throughout many, many times, so it's just the polished stone. Here is another reflection, I believe. I'm not sure. Did I enhance that, or is there an orb in there? We'll see. Yeah, oh, yep, there is an orb just on the other side of the stone. And here you can see many orbs that are enhanced in there. So I'm just going bonkers. And there's Charlotte, and we were near that particular stone. That stone appears in a lot of the photographs. We were sort of drawn to that side. Charlotte didn't get, I don't believe, many pictures. Now, there's two interesting marks on the back wall of the church that I have cropped. There's a tiny little one that you can see through on the back wall, and up high there's this bright, weirdly shaped little light. And I'm thinking, okay, this is kind of unusual. Now, this is the next picture I took showing the back of the church. Nothing. There is nothing on the back wall on the bottom that can give you the idea that an orb could be there. And there's nothing reflecting a weird light near the top roof of the church either. So that's another weird little anomaly where this picture was taken maybe 3 seconds after the first one. So very close. This is another unusual little light. And there's a crop of it. It's very bright. Hard to say. It almost does look like there's something within it, but you can't quite make it out. And another one with several little orbs in it. And here is a crop of the orbs. The top little one is brighter than the others, but there's definitely something going on. And here's another one. Like this cemetery, orbs everywhere. But you have to remember also that, like, my grandfather's in this cemetery. There are people in this cemetery that knew me. When I dowsed, none of them said it was my grandfather, but, you know, who's to say exactly who these could be? So this is the last of our pictures. I got a lot of orbs this time round. Charlotte got a few. Like I say, if we miss anything, we may have a lost episode slideshow at some point where we've gone through our pictures and find interesting things, because every time we look at them, there's something different. So that was our wonderful little adventure in Port Britain and Wesleyville. I hope everyone has a safe and happy Halloween. Blessed be to those who are celebrating the new year and thinking of their ancestors at this time of the year. So from our World of Wonders, have a wonderful Halloween, and we'll see you soon.